So with Dragon Ball Super coming to an end, I know a lot of folks are probably going to do a Dragon Ball rewatch, and I think it's a great time to do it where folks are going to go back and rewatch the Dragon Ball series from beginning to end and kind of just to relive it. And I think that a lot of people need to do it. You know, there's been a lot of folks that either forgot what happened in Dragon Ball, or people who have seen Super never even saw the old series, which is weird to me, but there's people out there who didn't. They just played the video games and saw some clips on YouTube. And now is the time to go back and watch the original Dragon Ball series. So what I want to go over with you guys here is I wanted to share the Dragon Ball anime geekdom order. What I mean by that is this is the order that I think, again, it's just my opinion, that you should watch Dragon Ball when you do a rewatch. Now, also this list, I created it for fun, and I want to share it with you guys, this little order here. And it's also perfect if you're trying to get like your friends into Dragon Ball, or if you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend and they haven't seen the series yet and they want to watch the entire thing. This is how I think you should watch it, and I'm going to explain like my reasoning behind it here on this video. Now, before we get into the actual, you know, meat and potatoes of this order, I want to discuss kind of how to watch it, so to speak. Okay, now it depends on your region. Okay, obviously not every region on earth, because we have lots of different people who watch my channel from different parts of the world. Some of y'all are in Europe. India's a big market. I've seen the analytics. South America, and I thank all of you for being here. Like, I love all you guys. I would love to visit your countries one day, and I probably will. I'm not even kidding about that. So some people aren't going to be able to have access to like Funimation.com. I can't tell you where to get it. I can tell you that, you know, obviously there's DVDs and Blu-rays and things like that you can pick up. I don't know what television stations air this stuff, so I'm so unfortunate I can't tell you exactly where to watch it in your region. I can tell you that Funimation.com in North America has most of this stuff. If not, you can always order it. But I presume most Dragon Ball fans have this, and if you don't, like I said, Funimation.com has it. Super's obviously going to be on Crunchyroll and Verve, but we're not even going to get to Super yet. We're talking about the old Dragon Ball series. Now, a couple things I want to talk about here. We're talking about, the thing about this list, okay, is that it's, the reason I put it together is because I wanted it to be sort of a close reflection to how things were when they first aired in Japan. In other words, I want to give you an experience similar, not identical, but similar to how it was when Dragon Ball and Z first aired in Japan. Because I think that's the right way. It just makes things flow better. When Funimation was dubbing it, they kind of did things out of order, so it caused some confusion back in the late 90s or early 2000s. So I wanted to kind of tell you that. Also, I recommend watching it, especially if you've never seen it in Japanese. I do recommend seeing it in Japanese with subtitles. If you've seen the dub, you already know the story pretty much for the most part, but in the Japanese version, it is the original version, and there were lots of things that were lost in translation, lots of censorship issues that the English dub had. So this is my recommendation, again, to watch it in Japanese, especially if you've never seen it before. Like, you need to, because there are so many things that are missing, especially a lot of the jokes. A lot of the sexual jokes were also cut out, and I think you'll enjoy that. Also, this list does not include Yo Son Goku, Battle of Gods, Resurrection F, Super, Episode of Bardock. I'm gonna cover those. I'm gonna cover those a little bit later on in this video. Also, this list does not include Kai. I know a lot of people love Dragon Ball Kai. If you want to watch Kai, that's fine. I did not incorporate it into this list because the purpose of this list is to give you an experience like you're seeing it for the first time, like you're sharing it with somebody for the first time, right? Based on the experience that the fans had in Japan from 1986 to 1997, not so much the experience they had in 2009. If you prefer Kai, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that this list in particular is the OG series, okay? So, with that out of the way, let's get right into it. I recommend watching Dragon Ball television. And by the way, this is for the anime, not the manga. This is for the anime, not the manga. Just making that clear. I recommend watching Dragon Ball all the way through. The original Dragon Ball series 1 through 153. Now, I wrote right here, the original Dragon Ball movies are fun and can be seen as the trilogy post-series, but not necessary. The movies I'm referring to are Legend of Shenron, otherwise known as Curse of the Blood Rubies, Sleeping Princess and Devil's Castle, and Mystical Adventure or Mystical Grand Adventure. You can watch those as the series progresses. You can look up the dates of their release on Kanzenshu if you want to, or on Wikipedia. That's fine, and match it up with the episodes. I actually think it's more effective, in my opinion, if you watch them as a trilogy, because the Dragon Ball movies, not Z. We're talking about the original 3 Dragon Ball movies, not Path to Power either. That came out later. The original 3 Dragon Ball movies have their own continuity, like their own canon. So you can actually watch them back to back and you get like a condensed story. Most of it is a retelling of the Dragon Ball manga and the Dragon Ball anime. They're optional. You really don't have to watch them. The movies are optional, but I do recommend putting them in there because they are fun. They are fun to watch, in my opinion, and I think that you, in my opinion, should watch them as a trilogy. Now, you're probably wondering, well, when do I watch them? I would recommend watching them when you get to the Piccolo arc in Dragon Ball, because then, like, you've already gotten rid of all the Red Ribbon stuff and you're past all that stuff. So I recommend doing that or waiting until the end of the series. But I do recommend watching them because, as I said, they're very, very fun. Now, when you get to Dragon Ball Z, I would start with Dead Zone. I would start with Dragon Ball Z Movie 1. I think that's a perfect in-between story, in between Dragon Ball and Z. You don't have to watch it there. You can watch it after Dragon Ball Z Episode 7, because that's when it came out. I think it was like 7 or 8. Might have been Episode 9, right around that time. You can if you want to. I recommend seeing it before you watch Episode 1 of Dragon Ball Z, just because it's a perfect bridge. And even though, like, Gohan going crazy, you know, was one of those things where it was kind of retold in the movie from the Raditz stuff, you know, when he powered up and raged out or whatever, I think it still fits. I think it still fits there. Then, I recommend watching Dragon Ball Z TV episodes 1 through 35. Now, episodes 1 through 35 is the entire Saiyan arc, the Saiyan arc, the Vegeta saga, whatever you want to call it. That's what that is. It ends with episode 35, which is when Vegeta leaves the Earth, and that's the big cliffhanger. And then the Namek arc begins in episode 36. Now, right after you get done watching these episodes, the Saiyan arc, I recommend popping in The World's Strongest, the movie, because with The World's Strongest, yes, the movies they do not fit with the main timeline. We know this, everybody knows this, but the reason why I recommend watching it here is because The World's Strongest has Goku doing Kaioken and the Spirit Bomb, the Genki Dama, and all these things that have already been explained in the Z TV series. So if you watch it too early with a new fan, they're going to be confused. They're going to be like, what's this? What's Kaioken? What's Genki Dama? Like, they're not, you see what I'm saying? Like, so I recommend watching it there. Now, this one's going to be a bit controversial, but you got to trust me on this one. Movie 3, Tree of Might, Earth Ultimate Deciding Battle. Same movie. It kind of fit here, but not really. The only thing that's a little weird about it is that Goku does Kaioken times 10, but I don't think that really affects, like, the Namek arc. I don't think it affects it at all. I think that's the perfect place to put it, right there. Obviously, in Tree of Might, you have the Z fighters all alive, and you know that's impossible because they all pretty much died, spoiler alert, against Nappa, you know, and Vegeta. So, you know, but putting it there, I think, makes the most sense because it still takes place, like, on Earth. So, moving on, right, we go and you start watching Dragon Ball Z episodes 36 to 64. Episode 36 is the first Namek saga episode when Bulma and them go to pick up the Z fighters and, you know, they start planning for Planet Namek. It's the beginning of the Namek arc. And then 64 is the Ginyu stuff, right when the Ginyu force is around. Then I recommend watching Bardock, the Father of Goku, the TV special. I believe the TV special aired, I don't remember if it was after episode 60 or 65, but I think putting it right there is perfect. You do not want to watch the Bardock special first. Listen to me. Do not watch the Bardock special first. I know people are like, but that's the first chronological story. I don't care. When you're introducing a new fan to the series, you don't want to spoil who Frieza is. You don't want to spoil that Goku's an alien. You're not supposed to know that information until the beginning of Dragon Ball Z. So even though chronologically it makes sense, narratively it does not make sense. You're not even supposed to know Goku's an alien. You're not supposed to know any of that stuff until we get to Dragon Ball Z. So watching that first is going to end up confusing people because they're going to sit through 153 episodes of Dragon Ball and wonder what happened to that Frieza guy, what happened to Bardock. It's just not the right thing to do. It's better to follow the way it aired in Japan first. And one of the things that irritated me about Kai was that they actually took clips from it and put it at the beginning of episode 1 because they assumed that most of the Dragon Ball fans had already seen Z in the manga, and that's fine. I am telling you, this is a bad idea. Just trust me on this one. It's narratively speaking, you're not even supposed to know who Frieza is until we get to the Namek arc. He's teased a little bit at the end of the Saiyan arc when Kai-Osama, King Kai, says the root of evil still exists. And then we get some little teases here and there in the early Namek arc filler. But you're not supposed to know who Frieza is until we get to the Namek saga. So it's just, trust me, do not watch it first. Don't watch it first. Just trust me on this one. I hate the fact that people do that. I know it's the earliest in the timeline, but narratively speaking, that's where it fits. Then I want you to watch Dragon Ball Z TV episodes 65 to 71. That's going to go close to around the Frieza fight. Then I want you to pause and pop in movie 4, Lord Slug, otherwise known as Super Saiyan Son Goku. Now you're probably wondering, why are we watching this movie now? Because Super Saiyan Son Goku, or Lord Slug, has the fake Super Saiyan form. You don't want to reveal that form to a new fan, like the actual look of it when Goku does it. You don't want to reveal that form to a new fan too early. So it's best to do the fake SSJ first, and then from there move on and talk about, and then show them the real thing. So I think that's the right place to put it. Again, if you don't agree with me on that one, I'm okay with it, because that movie's always been weird as far as where to place it as far as viewing goes. Obviously, the movies don't fit with the timeline. We know that, but that's the best place to put it, in my opinion. Then you'll want to go ahead and continue Dragon Ball Z television episodes 72 to 124. That's the rest of the Frieza saga and the beginning of the arrival of Trunks and what he did, and then the explanation to Goku. Episode 124 is a filler episode where it's the episode where where Vegeta and Bulma kind of start to, you know what I'm saying, hook up. It's the episode before the driving episode. And then what you'll want to do is you'll want to pop in Dragon Ball Z Movie 5, Cooler's Revenge, or The Battle of the Strongest versus Strongest. The reason why I'm putting that there, right, is because that movie kinda, sorta, maybe can fit in between the 3-year time skip from when Trunks arrives and the android fight happens. So that's the right place to put it, because when you get to episode 125, which is the driving episode, the end of that episode is Goku and the gang going to go fight the androids, and thus beginning the second chapter of that, that story arc, right? The next chapter. So the best thing to do is to fit that movie right there, right during the 3-year time skip. Obviously it doesn't really fit, but it's the closest place. Put it right there. Now I botched right here and I put 124. I meant to put 125. Watch Dragon Ball Z 125 to 136. That's going to cover the first act of the android arc. The second portion, the first act. Episode 136 is the episode when the Z fighters get their asses kicked. It's that one. When the androids beat their ass and then they leave. Then they leave and we're basically left with Vegeta and Trunks all beat up. At that point, that's when you should watch History of Trunks. Now again, you're wondering, why should I watch it here if in Japan the History of Trunks came out later, but in the in the English dub, I think it came out earlier, and not to mention that it also kind of leads into Trunks going back in time. No, the reason why you want to watch History of Trunks here is because if you watch it before you watch these episodes, 125 to 136, it's going to spoil what 17 and 18 look like. It's going to spoil the fact that 19 and 20 aren't the real villains. Again, we're talking about narratively here. I'm creating this to give the correct narrative. So watching it after the androids kick their ass makes sense, because when you watch that, then you watch the History of Trunks, you're thinking, man, these androids are unstoppable. And that's what I think you should do. That's where I think it fits. So there you go. again, just trust me on this one. It fits the best right there. Then you're going to watch the majority of the Android and Cell saga, Dragon Ball Z 137 to 174. Now, this is going to be the most controversial part of the list, but I had to do it like this, so you got to trust me. You're going to be marathoning 3 movies and the special that was on the Raging Blast game, if you have it. If you don't have it, it's not necessary. Dragon Ball Z movies 6 through 8, that's Return of Cooler, Super Android 13, and Broly Legendary Super Saiyan. Now again, if you're wondering why, the reason why I put those movies there is because, first of all, episode 174 is during the 9-day wait for the Cell game. So there's that 9-day gap. That's where you want to watch those movies. Now you're probably wondering, again, why would I watch Return of Cooler, which came out earlier in Japan, here? Because the Return of Cooler, Metal Cooler movie spoils the fact that Dende is the god of Earth. It was a spoiler. They put that out in Japan way before it was revealed in the anime. And it's always bugged the crap out of me. But if you're watching this narratively and you don't want to be spoiled about Dende becoming the god of Earth, then you want to fit it in right there. Like, that's where you want to fit it in. And yeah, I know that it's weird because Goku and Vegeta are much stronger at this point in the series, but that's the best place to fit it in, because if you watch that movie before Dende officially becomes the god with a new fan, they're going to be wondering, how the heck did Dende become a god? It's going to, you see what I'm saying? Like, are you following me on this one? Like, that's why that fits in there. Then Super Android 13, then Broly, and then Plan to Eradicate. You can watch all of those in a triple feature, back to back to back. Now, from here on out, it gets a little bit easier, okay? Dragon Ball Z television TV 175 to 194. That's the rest of the Cell games up until the episode where Trunks goes to the future and kills the future androids. That's done. Then you want to watch Dragon Ball Z Movie 9, BoJack Unbound, Galaxy at the Brink. That movie takes place, if you're going to fit it in continuity, which is very hard, before the Buu saga, before Goku goes off to fight in the Otherworld tournament, right? And after the destruction of Cell, like when they beat Cell and Trunks goes back to, I supposedly Trunks goes back to like be in this movie. That's the perfect place to fit it. That movie actually fits there. Like, it actually can fit there for the most part. So that's when I recommend watching it. And that is the last movie pretty much featuring, like, you know, I guess Kid Gohan before we get to the Buu saga. Then you're going to watch the 5 episodes of the Otherworld Tournament 195 to 199 and watch all the way until episode 207. 207 is right before the beginning of the tournament in the Buu saga. Then you're going to watch Dragon Ball Z Movie 10, Broly's Second Coming, Dangerous Duo, because that's where it fits. But obviously, it doesn't fit perfectly, but that's the best place to put it, right before the tournament arc, so you don't get too invested in that tournament arc, and you can still watch, you know, you can still kind of watch it like that. You know, that you can still watch it where, you know, that movie there, because it doesn't, you know, Gohan, Goten, and Trunks are there, and Goku's still dead. That's before Goku comes back to be in the tournament. Not to life, but comes back for the one day. Then you're going to watch Dragon Ball Z 208 to 241. And then at the end of 241, that's where basically it's like right after Majin Vegeta blows himself up. You know, that whole thing. Then you're going to watch Bio Broly, a.k.a. Beat the Super Bio Fighter. Again, some people don't like Bio Broly, but if you're watching it all the way through, man, you got to put it in there. That being said, this is the best place to fit it. It doesn't fit. It does not fit. These movies aren't meant to fit, but that's the best place to put it. You know what I mean? That's the best place. Then, moving on, you have Dragon Ball Z 242 to 264. That's basically the Buu saga. Goku fighting Majin Buu, Gotenks, all that stuff. And the reason why we're going to stop at 264 and then watch Fusion Reborn is because 265 is the beginning of Vegito, and you want to watch Gogeta before watching Vegito. You want to do that because that's the way it was originally released in Japan. That's the way it was intended to be, and you don't want to. You kind of want to do the regular fusion with Goku and Vegeta before you do the Potara fusion. And the only fusion that you are familiar with at that time is the finger fusion. So before introducing Potara in right around 265, you'll want to watch Fusion Reborn during this time. That's the best time to watch it. Then you're going to wrap up the Buu saga, 265 to 287. That is basically, and I actually made a little bit of a mistake here. I'm going to correct it. It's actually 265, 288, right? Which is the end of the Buu saga before the 10-year time skip to the last 3 episodes of Dragon Ball Z. And Wrath of the Dragon, Dragon Fist Explosion, which is the Hiruda Guard movie, you're going to watch that because that movie could have happened during the 10-year time skip. And I know that Dragon Ball Super took place during that time. Again, we're not doing this chronologically. We're doing it narratively. So as a result of that, and by release order for the most part, we have to be flexible here. So I recommend watching that and then coming back and watching the last 3 episodes of Dragon Ball Z. Right, which is the OOP stuff. And then you're done with Dragon Ball Z. Then I recommend watching Path to Power. Now I put here, note, this can be anywhere, but it fits best here. Why am I putting it there? Because in Japan, even though Dragon Ball Path to Power was a Dragon Ball movie, it came out during GT's run, and it was animated like GT, and it was a 10-year anniversary movie. You can watch that at any point. There really is no set time to watch it. I just think it's a great bridge from Z to GT. And also, if you're watching it with somebody who likes Dragon Ball, it's going to be refreshing to see Kid Goku again, right? You feel me on that one? So that's another thing that I recommend doing as well. Then you're going to go ahead and watch GT if you want. I know some folks are going to say, no, I'm not watching GT. I'll get to Super in a minute. But with GT, 1 through 40, then the Goku Jr. Special, then 41 to 64. First of all, let me clarify something. The Goku Jr. Special did not come out after GT ended. In Japan, it came out after episode 40. So we're just going to put it in there. Episode 40 is the tournament. And then episode 41 begins the Super 17 arc and goes into the rest of the series. So basically, you're going to watch the entire baby arc, 1 through 40. Then you're going to watch the Goku Jr. Special. And then you're going to come back and finish the series. So that's the best way to do it. Now, when it comes to Super, this is entirely up to you. I would recommend doing Yo Son Goku and His Friends Return, 2008 special, Battle of Gods, Resurrection F, and then watching Super again. However, if you don't want to be redundantly redundant, what you could do is you could just watch Battle of Gods the movie, watch the filler episodes of Super in between Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, which is, I think, episodes 15 through 18, then watch the Resurrection F movie, and then come back with Super episode 27 and watch the rest of the series there. Or you could skip the movies and watch the TV version, but I think the movies are good enough and have, I think the movies are better than the TV version. I mean, you could watch both. This is the trickiest one, because I do recommend watching both, but if you can't, just do like that. Just watch the movie, Battle of Gods, the 4 episodes, and then Resurrection F the movie, and then pick it up with Dragon Ball Super episode 28. It's 28, not 27, 28. Episode 28 of Super. That's what I recommend you do. If not, you can just watch it over again. Again, that whole thing was complex. It's a retelling. So that is my breakdown of the how to watch the Dragon Ball anime in Geekdom order. I did not include Jocko the Galactic Patrolman manga, but you should read that before watching Resurrection F, okay? So you should read it then. But it's not necessary. I mean, it's helpful, but it's not that necessary. But if people ask, well, who's Jocko? Who's Tights? The manga will explain it to you. So that's it. That's the Geekdom order. Again, if you have any questions about why I put things in there, I think I answered most of them in the video. But if you do have questions, leave a comment down below. And I will also link to the Twitter post where I posted this so you can actually download it and print it out or whatever. I think, in my opinion, this is the best way to watch Dragon Ball. The anime. Again, Kai, you can watch that. If you want to watch Kai instead of Z, that's fine. That's a totally different idea, though. We're talking about original run stuff here, just how it was originally. Thank you so very much, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Good luck with that. Well, you know what I mean. Like, have a good time watching it. Not good luck. Have a good time.